Welcome, everybody, to episode 155 of 1 Million of the Serial Chillers podcast. As always, I like to ask, as we start, how goes it? Hella, Greg. I guess we should start with the theme song.
I was going to say, do you want me to hit the theme song and do it over?
Forgot about it. I was already hyped, dude. Yeah, let's do a theme song. I'll start it over.
Oh, no way. Oh, my God. No way. Oh, my God.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 155 of 1 Million of the Serial Chillers podcast. As always, I ask, how goes it? Hello, Greg.
I'm groovy, man. Fucking hanging out. I'm here.
Chilling, illin', grinding daily.
Chilling serially.
Because you can't get a 9 to 5 because you rhyme and rock. Dig, you don't. It's cool. I'll take you to school. It's what I do. Great, man. Good to hear from you and the cool kids.
Pretty much that, yeah.
Right off the bat. We do have a couple of guests. We're going to get to them in a moment. You guys know them. You love them. So get excited for it. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Threadless store. Go find us. Join the Discord if you want to hang with us. That's the way to hang out with us. It's just like regular people, man. Come hang out on the Discord. I'm posting pictures of my food like a couple times a week.
You just type @ and then whoever you want to talk to.
It truly is as easy as that. Yep. Even most of the guests that you hear on the show are hanging out there too. So if you have questions for somebody specific, and if you're someone who, I know we have a few people who've joined the Discord and not gotten past that first step of just like accepting the rules and getting open access. So if there's somebody who's joined the Discord and has questions, you can reach out to us directly, or on Discord, there should be an open channel that says Discord help. Go in there. The mod team looks at that and they'll help you out if you've got anything from that. So serialchillerspod.com for all the information, but you can give to the Patreon, all that good stuff from there if you want to give us a hand. So today's guests, both of our guests, I think have made multiple appearances on the show. Welcoming back both a giant in size and personality. Everybody say hello to our favorite monster, Paul.
I thought you were going the other way for him.
Hello,
It's me.
Paul.
It's me this time. Hi guys, I'm here.
Yeah.
Welcome to my home.
The only thing missing, Paul, is like a radioactive waste barrel of vodka. So
I wish I would have kept that, like that, just a container.
The progression of Paul through the show is such a funny one when you think about it. Like his first episode came on and tried to sell a story that wasn't his as his own. Just red face wasted.
I didn't understand the rules. Okay, I had a few pre-gamed. A little nervous. Had some during game, and then
then fierce competition came about between he and Lindsay due to the fact that Lindsay drank some of his liquor left behind on air, and we came back the next season. Paul got a finale there, or a season premiere there, and now Paul is a family man, married, couple kids, doing the thing. Look at you, Paul. You're living the fucking American dream, buddy.
Super not tired. Turned on my computer today for the first time in like 3 months, Had to clear off the desk from the mail I don't open and the gift wrapping paper that was on my chair. So I'm here though.
Well,
Good,
good to have you back, guys. If Erica's out there listening, start sending the hate our way.
Hate.
And welcoming back, I think his third time on the show, but I think first time without his good buddy Getty. Welcoming back our dear friend Nick.
Hi. I might have a chance to win this time because Paul's sober.
Yeah, I haven't won since I've been sober on the show. So
I think this is my fourth time. I'm 0-3.
Fourth time. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like 10-1, and then I stopped drinking, and then I've I don't think
Now
I've
he's like
won
10
the
and
last.
12.
Yeah, I don't think I've won the last 2 seasons or whatever. I don't remember my last victory at this point. It's been a while.
We'll just start bringing you in for first-time guests so they can use you as a tune-up.
Make them feel better about themselves. Smart.
Like when USC plays Fresno State first game of the season.
Smart.
Well, welcome back, Nick. You guys might, if Nick's been with us most recently, if you guys listen to the Paranormal Activity episode, not about the movie, but about actual paranormal activity that's taking place throughout the world. Nick was the one who told us the cool aliens, crystal hippie story.
Yeah, that was me.
I think
Great
that's how
story.
I said it in the thing. I was like, who wouldn't love a story about some hippies, some crystals, and some aliens? I don't need to, need to explain this one more. Please enjoy this story by Nick.
My girlfriend said it was the most anticlimactic of them all.
How dare she? She's clearly never seen alien crystals. So today I have 2 subjects for you guys. We're kind of getting to a point. I'm not saying we're running out of ideas, because we're definitely not running out of ideas. I have too many ideas. The problem is that in order to stretch some of them out to like the length that we try to look for, I'd be just putting words in to be putting words in. Like when you write a college essay and you're like, shit, it has to be 1,700. I've got to get 85 more words in here. I'm going to go add some thes and ifs and ands. So instead, I just bring 2 subjects here today. Yeah. However, as I was saying before, so the first one we have is a Kelly G special. So we all by now know Kelly G. If you guys are here on the episode, what a treat for you to get a Kelly G experience. In fact, the second story tonight is also done by some listeners / research assistants, and I'll get to them when we get there. But big thanks to everybody who contributed to this one, and say it's nice. It's so nice, you guys. I got to say, the people who help out and send us research, because sometimes with work and family and all this shit, it's like, man, some weeks it's tough to get a full episode really up and rolling. And when you start with some amazing people sending you some great research, it's definitely a very helpful thing on those weeks where life gets crazy. So thank you guys and everybody who does that. And I hope everybody out there listening recognizes those people too. So thank you, Kelly G. We appreciate you. We love you. Greg, I'm going to let you do odds or evens with them real quick to determine where we're going to go, and then I'll kind of take over from there.
Alrighty. Let's see. Nick, your guess. Am I holding up odds or evens?
Evens.
Oh, it was odds.
It is odds. So, Paul, would you like to kick or defer?
I would like odds.
You would like odds. Okay, so you're answering first.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay, so today's
is that the best strategy for this? It's not
story. I think every strategy has its own advantages. So you did what you did, and we're gonna go from there. Today's first story. Tell me, have you guys heard of the disappearance of Brandon Lawson?
Nope.
Could have told you that.
I'm not on the Google much.
So, really quickly, some references and citations. True Crime Garage had a 3-episode part about this. They had an episode 85 and 86 and an episode update of episode 310. So if you guys want some really in-depth look at this case, they take the 911 call and they break it down, second by second. I'm just going to talk about it. If you want to hear it, go listen to it somewhere else. Because, if you're using this show for research, don't.
Do it.
Also, Wikipedia. There was a Brandon Lawson audio engineer examination on YouTube, and GoSanAngelo.com article by Alana Edgen. So, Kelly G, again, thank you. And let's get into this unsolved story of the disappearance of Brandon Lawson. Remember, you guys, I know you know how the show works. Let me explain it for anybody that doesn't. Each week I sit down with old friends, new friends, good friends, and bad friends to tell the story of an infamous serial killer. Something true crime, dark, creepy, unsolved, or otherwise mysterious. If something isn't clear, be sure to chime in, because if you have questions about questions, be sure to ask questions, because I can't answer questions about questions if you never ask questions. Are there any questions?
Was the first question going to be about the year that he went missing?
Yes, it is. So in that case, welcome to and let's play the Serial Chillers podcast.
Wow.
So as you know, the disappearance of Brandon Lawson is the story we're going to be talking about today. Question number 1. In what year did this event take place? Paul, if you're Googling the answers to this, so help me God.
I got Twitch up. I'm never in my computer. I need multiple things.
That's our number one risk nowadays with doing it this way, is if someone wants to cheat, it's just really not hard.
Yeah, I'm not going to cheat.
That's why we took away giving prizes to the winners, because the prizes we used to give.
They were good. You should have seen them back in the day.
Okay, Paul, you're first to answer. In what year did this event take place?
1977.
I'm going 1993.
1977 and 1993.
Nick will get
solid
250 points, because this disappearance took place in 2013. Pretty close though, Paul. Keep going.
If you round up, I win.
Well,
gotta round up a lot.
Oh,
he's not rounding. I'm rounding.
Oh, okay, so just round yours. Don't round Nick's. Good.
Yeah.
Got that. Okay, so 250 points to Paul. So today we're going to talk about something bizarre that ends up with a lot of speculation in the end. People have been wondering about and deliberating about this case since 2013 when it took place, but with no actual answers. That's literally all you can do in this case. Brandon Lawson lived in San Angelo, Texas, and his occupation was oil field worker. He was said to have worked 90 plus hours a week, and though he was only 26, he had 4 beautiful children. I think we all know this dude, maybe not specifically like 4 children, but like the guy who like is the ultra grinder who's like, yeah, I worked 87 and a half hours last week. No big deal. Like he makes $250,000 a year, but like he doesn't have days off. So he's not able to even spend it. I feel like everybody kind of just like knows that one. He's just like some badass of construction. He's like, yeah, I'm not home 371 days a year. But wait, there's only 300.
He's rounding up. See,
I've made a fortune. But
we had a couple of those in our extended friend group in high school or after high school. I feel like.
Yes, that's exactly why I thought of it when I was like 90. Well, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So on August 8th, 2013, Brandon had a fight with his girlfriend and mother of 3 of his children. Her name was Ladessa. He called his dad, and though his dad told him something like, just stay there and cool off, Brandon didn't seem to listen. He left the house at 11:53 p.m. wearing a yellow shirt, camo shorts, and a fairly recognizable shoe. Question number 2. What shoes was Brandon wearing? Was it A, some Nike Air Maxes, B, some Jordan 10s, C, some Adidas Superstars, or D, a pair of Air Force Ones? Air Maxes, Jordan 10s, Adidas Superstar, or Air Force Ones? I feel like those are all 4 pretty recognizable shoes.
Yeah, 2013, I was a bit of a sneakerhead around then.
I was going to say Puma.
But yeah.
I'm going B.
The Jordan 10s. Paul says the Air Force Ones. Brandon left his house wearing a yellow shirt, camo shorts, and a pair of white Nike Air Maxes. No points are awarded for that one. But Brandon sounds like he was kind of stunned that night. Not going to lie.
I like that nobody went with the Adidas Superstars because Run DMC hadn't been popular for 20 years.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
but
why
the
I didn't
shoe
choose.
is
That's why I didn't choose
still a
Adidas.
good shoe.
It's an iconic shoe.
Yeah, for sure. So, at the time he was driving and after he had left after talking to his dad, he was headed toward his parents' home, which was a couple hours from his own. He ran out of gas and called 911 at 12:50 a.m. asking them for help, and has never been seen since. The 911 call is basically it's a 38-second clip, and the only reason I didn't bring it in is because the way our soundboard works, I would have to like pausing and stopping and moving back and forth is not an amazing technology we have on here. I would have to break it up into a bunch of different clips, and I'm just going to tell you to go listen to it because it's one of those things where even if we all four sat here listening to it together, we'd probably hear four different things. So there's a little bit of speculation, and we kind of get down into it. Kelly G broke it down for us simple men about like what is basically heard on the call, what is like everybody agrees on, and kind of some of the stuff that is up for speculation. So the 911 call, it's insane. Check it out. Go listen to it. Sorry we don't have it here, but there just wasn't a very practical way for us to do it. So it's hard to understand, and some people believe tampered with by the police. So we're left to guess about a lot of it. Before we get into talking about the 911 call, let's talk about what happened before then. When Brandon's Ford F-150 ran out of gas, some of the back end of the truck was still hanging out into the road. So basically, he parked like an asshole as he ran out of gas. Didn't even have the common decency to swing it all the way under the shoulder. Brandon, what's up, dude? What the fuck, dude? The stretch of Highway 277 does not have street lights, and that can be quite dangerous, especially if the vehicle's off, didn't have flashers on, whatever. Apparently, around 12:57 a.m., there was another 911 call from a long-haul trucker driving through that area, and he had called to report the truck being a hazard, but they've never released a tape of that 911 call. Prior to that, at 12:38, Brandon called his brother Kyle and told him that he was out of gas and where he was. Kyle, at the time, I'm not sure, I couldn't really get a straight answer from this because when Kelly G will send me something, sometimes I won't understand why something took place, so I'll go look. But it says Kyle grabbed his wife and their 4-year-old daughter and hopped in the car to go get gas and take it to Brandon. I don't know why his brother would wake up his wife and kid at nearly 1 a.m. to go take his brother gas.
It might have been something like if the gas doesn't do it, I'll wait with him. You can take the car and go back home. Or if he was drunk because, he got in a fight with his girlfriend, maybe he was like, I got to drive his truck home, so you have to drive mine.
That's why we've got Hella Greg, guys. That's why I've got Hella Greg.
Yeah, usually if you got to go do something like that at 1 in the morning, it's good to take backup. I mean, it's just even if it's even if you're just going to like help somebody, it's good to have an extra pair of hands. More hands make less work.
Craig's funny, guys.
Yeah, I like that guy. So Ledessa said that she would sorry. Grabbed it. Kyle woke up his wife, 4-year-old son. They hopped in the car to go get a can of gas from Ledessa to bring to Brandon. Ledessa said that she would leave it out, but she was getting in the shower and then going to bed. Remember, she's mad at Brandon. They were fighting. That's why Brandon's left in the first place. Also, she doesn't have a wall charger for her phone, so she leaves it charging in the car. That's going to be important why she doesn't answer any of Brandon's phone calls later. So Kyle gets the gas can from her house, but he gets paid that day and his check hasn't hit his account yet. So he didn't have any money for the gas, but he was just going to bring the can and let Brandon deal with it. So it probably goes without saying once we're kind of getting into it, like even though Brandon's working 90 hours a week, financially, he and his family are not on the greatest track. We got his brother who's out here trying to save him, but he can't. He doesn't have money to even put some gas in the gas can that he just went and picked up from Ledessa. Ledessa doesn't have a wall charger for her phone. She has to leave it out in her car every time that it charges. These are things that like we take for granted sometimes, but
we all know people like that though, who have a bunch of money but are always broke.
And you're got like, nice ass cars though.
But you're like, well, obviously not. Can't even keep it full. But like,
hey, that's the sacrifice. I got a nice car, but I can't put gas in it.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm like, I know people like that who like are grinding all the time, and then as a result, everything around them falls by the wayside. Like all the normal stuff that you would pay attention to, getting, stuff like, I don't know. It just I know people like that. So when you said that hit home.
It's real life, baby. It's real fucking life. So, dude, I lived in a goddamn 2-door Chevy for like 3.5 months. I get the grind. So Kyle gets the gas can. His check isn't cleared. He can't get the gas. But he's talking to Brandon. He's in contact with his brother. They're talking. But he's saying Brandon's like kind of being a little off. He's not really speaking in full sentences. Nothing he's saying is making a ton of sense anyway. But basically what he's getting from his brother are that like people try to run him out of town. Brandon's also asking Kyle to see if Ledessa was trashing his stuff. Kyle reminded Brandon that Ledessa wouldn't do that. And Brandon can confirm that because he went and picked up the gas can from Ledessa's and he knows that she hasn't destroyed any of Brandon's things in the meantime. So it seems to me at this point, Brandon is quite paranoid and quite confused out on the side of the 277 in a vehicle that's ran out of gas.
And it just ran out of gas. He didn't crash, right? It's not like he crashed and hit his head.
That's what he's saying right now hey, I ran out of gas. I just need your help to come out. I need your help. Come out here. But his brother is saying, hey, he's being a little weird. And basically in some of the things he was saying made it seem like someone was trying to run him out of town. So,
gave him the old Armin Tamzarian.
Kyle said Brandon would not have a full conversation with him, just quick sentences. Then, real quick, we're going to talk about what happened after the 911 call because of the accounts of people who aren't missing. At 1:10 a.m., Kyle arrived at the truck but didn't find Brandon. So he called his brother like 12:30. So it's like 40 minutes later he gets there. At the same time that Kyle pulled up, a deputy pulled up from the opposite direction. Both say that they never saw Brandon. The deputy likely showed up in response to the trucker's call since Brandon didn't make much sense. Brandon gets there. A deputy gets there. The deputy from that long haul trucker, coming out to check on why this car is sticking out of the road. Kyle talked to the deputy, but as he's talking to the deputy, Brandon calls. So Kyle takes the call, and obviously it's his brother. So Kyle knew that Brandon had a warrant for his arrest. So Kyle didn't tell the deputy that he was talking to. So he's basically standing there. They're both looking for a guy. Kyle's on the phone with the guy they're looking for, but he does, he's not like, hey, I got him right here, for fear that he's going to get his brother in some trouble.
Good
Question
man.
number 3. What's that?
It's a good man.
Right. Question number 3. For what reason did Brandon have a warrant? Was it A, unpaid traffic tickets, B, a hit and run, C, an unpaid court fine, or D, he actually didn't?
Ooh.
Oh, I like intrigue.
Going with D. I like the twist.
Going with D, that he actually didn't. Unpaid traffic tickets, hit and run, unpaid court fine, or he actually didn't.
I'm going to go with A.
A, unpaid traffic tickets. The warrant was for something like a small drug charge, court fine that he had not paid. So no points for anybody. It was an unpaid court fine. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he had a possession charge, a small fine for that possession charge, and he had not paid that yet, and therefore had a.
I was trumped up. It was fake, and he didn't actually have anything. Points for me.
Thank you. Damn it. Paul's always getting those extra points, an extra 250 points for Paul, leaving him at, let me calculate it here really quick, 0. The score currently is 250. Nick, nothing for Paul. Plenty of time, as I like to say, Paul. Don't worry, buddy. Hang in there. I believe in you. Anyway, in the call to Kyle, Brandon said that he could see Kyle talking to the deputy. So he's nearby, like he's close enough to where Brandon is telling his brother Kyle, hey, I can see you talking to that cop. But what he's telling Kyle is that he needs to get away from the cop. Again, remember I said at the beginning, a lot of what we're going to talk about is just going to be speculation because we have like Brandon. We don't have him to tell us what he meant by any of this. So his speculation is like, it's because he had the warrant. Like, hey, just get away from the fucking cop. I don't want to get wrapped up in any of this. Or did Brandon happen to know that this cop was a particularly not savvy fellow? Like, you know, if Brandon got ran out of town, by who? Basically, Brandon was nearby but not showing himself. Audrey, Kyle's wife, ended up talking to Brandon on the phone for a while Kyle was dealing with the cop. And Brandon mentioned being 10 minutes up the road and bleeding. It's such a strange small case here. This is Brandon's cell phone history for basically the entire night. At 12:50, he calls 911. So basically his first call after he runs out of gas on the side of the road is to 911. Brandon then calls his girlfriend Ladessa at 12:51. 1 minute later at 12:52, Kyle's wife called Brandon and then called him again. At 12:54, Kyle calls Brandon once more. At 12:57, Brandon called his neighbor. 12:58, Brandon called Kyle again. At 12:58, Brandon's neighbor tries calling him back 3 times. At 12:59, Kyle called Brandon again. And at 1:04, the dispatcher from the nursing home from the initial 911 call calls Brandon back for more info. So something about that is, I guess in this county, some of the dispatch positions are remote, which makes sense.
Like call
they
centers.
don't, yeah, well, it's more like, hey, we're going to divert, they want the phone number conversion. So we're going to have it when it calls here, call forwarding. We're going to have the call forwarded to wherever you're at. And this person worked like at the desk of a, what does it say? Like a nursing home. They work like overnight desk work at a nursing home. So basically nothing going on. And so as a moonlighting thing, they were also a 911 dispatcher. So kind of just a weird thing. But anyway, the dispatcher called back at 1:04 from the initial call, tried to get more information, called twice, never reaches him. But at 1:12, 8 minutes later, Kyle's going to call Brandon 3 times. At 1:15, Brandon's going to call Kyle twice. And it is reported that after that, at 1:19, any calls going to Brandon would go to his voicemail. So every call we just talked about, basically, besides the neighbor calling the 3 times, was connected. And Brandon did, for at least a moment, talk to somebody on all those until the 1:19 when Brandon's calls just began going to his voicemail. The deputy turned the flashers on of the truck and locked the truck's doors. He arranged for a tow and then drove up and down the road before looking for Brandon. So he throws the hazards on for the truck, locks it up for him, calls the tow in. Hey, man, at least that's as safe as you can make it, right? With no street lights. Yeah. And Brandon's left it there without the lights on. So throw the flashers on, arrange for a tow, whatever you got.
And I can imagine, too, if it's like stuck in a ditch that, it's not something that you're just going to push. Like, you can't just push it to the side of the road and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
I imagine it's
or
like
the key wasn't in it. And
I just imagine that it's like run up in a culvert or something.
From what I understand, no. It's just like pulled off to the side of the road poorly. But I don't know exactly. So he arranged for the tow, drove up and down the road looking for Brandon. Kyle would leave the gas can in the bed of the truck in case Brandon comes. At least he's got a can now, if he gets there before the tow does. On Friday morning, he went back to the truck and filled the can up with gas since his check had cleared and Brandon had not turned up. No one knew that Brandon called the cops until Ladessa got his phone bill way later. She then asked for the audio, and that's when kind of this case started getting the attention that brought it to us today. Question number 4. How long after requesting the audio from the 911 call did it take for Ledessa to get a copy of the recording? This one's an even, so it's Nick's first. There's no multiple choice on this one. Closest to the answer, 250 points, 1,000 points if you can nail it. How long after requesting the audio from the 911 call did it take for Ledessa to get a copy of the recording, which he has a right to, by the way?
I'm going to say 90 days.
90 days.
Oh. I was going to say 3 months as well. Let's go 80. Nope. We're going to go 89 days.
Oh, Price righted me. Oh.
Should have gone one day the other way, because Nick's going to get 250 points, because after requesting the 911 audio, it took 4.5 months for the tape to be turned over to Ledessa.
That's too long.
That is too long.
Should have been 89 days.
It's basically at this point that people are going to start questioning some police misconduct and the belief that the tape had been edited. Now, sometimes when tapes are edited, it's very clear, especially if they're not done very professionally. You could see sound waves producing small pops. Again, this is kind of like if it's done fairly poorly, but it's basically saying that this one, if this tape was edited, it was basically done expertly. So that there is one thing that like audio engineers look at this and say like, hey, like we're not saying just by looking at it that for sure this isn't edited, but just by looking at it, if it were edited, it was done really fucking good.
Well, so, and I mean,
they had 4 months.
As somebody who like edits audio semi regularly, like it's pretty easy to do audio. And I mean, obviously, I'm not doing anything that can hold up against a police investigation like, or anything like that.
Yeah,
right. But I can also, I also think I do a pretty all right job of like not cutting off stuff right in the middle of a word or something like that. But video is a different story. I guess it wouldn't have video. It was just a 911 call, huh? Yeah. Right, so it would probably, I mean, something like that. You could edit, but it's tough to get like, especially if you have multiple people talking at once. It's tough to get just one person talking, or make sure that the inflection is right at the end of the sentence or something like that, so that they don't go, well, one thing I wanted to talk about, and then get cut off by somebody else. You know what I mean? Like obviously there was more to that sentence. Where did that go? So, I mean, I get it. But I can also see how if it was done like really well, you'd be like, oh shit, well, that's fucking.
Well, and to Paul's point, 4.5 months is a long time to edit a 38-second 911 tape.
Yeah.
I could probably figure it out by
then. So basically, people start to question it. Like, is this a cover up? If so, what are they covering up? So when he calls 911, it's in a pretty remote area, and the dispatcher is actually an employee of a local nursing home, which we talked about. Many people claim that he is not alone during the call, Brandon, that is. Some people say that he is, that is not the entire tape that we're getting in this 38-second call, that there's things that are missing. They claim that it was, quote unquote, intentionally designed to deceive. So this is kind of a rundown here, basically, of what we've got. Like I said, Kelly G gave it to us, where we have kind of basically what is understood to be, everybody agrees on it, and then what is like up in the air. And this is the best that we've got. So what we know is it starts 911 emergency, and we hear Brandon say, yes, I'm in the middle of a field. And what we have that's kind of a up in the air for, a discussion is Kelly G has it as a staper, S-T-A-P-E-R, a staper just pulled some guys over. But there's inflections in this. So it's like a staper just pulled some guys over. People think it's weird that the first thing he said is yes when they answered. Like, yes, it should be like the answer to something. Also, there's an endless debate about Staper. Is it a nicely edited part of the tape where he actually says state trooper? That's what I believe.
That's what I'm thinking. And cell phones are like, there's a delay on cell phones, especially in 2013. So there's no reason that it couldn't hiccup like when we're talking online.
Sure.
You know, where he says, yeah, it's a state trooper, and it goes, yeah, it's a state trooper, and it comes through as Staper.
There's also claims in this area of the state that Staper is a colloquialism that people often use for an oil worker. So a Staper is like I don't know, same thing as calling someone, you know, I can't think of another name that oil workers are called.
Yeah, I really want to Google it because I feel like Urban Dictionary would have something, but I also don't want to Google it just in case I get answers.
You will get answers, and it is not. It's not. It does. Urban Dictionary doesn't have anything.
Okay, so there we go. If it is a word used for oil worker, Kyle doesn't seem to think that it's a word Brandon would use, but who knows? Some people think that they hear "we're safe," we're just pushing guys over, instead of a Staper just pulled. Like, oh, we're safe, we're just pushing guys over. So we're talking about this section where it's a questionable thing. Apparently, this is really close to the Colorado River, and some people think that they hear the river in the tape, and that people speculate someone or a cop could be pushing people into the river. Another questionable part of the tape where we hear Brandon talk is he says what appears to be right here going towards Abilene on both sides. People really have a hard time with that place and speculate all kinds of shit. But Kelly G looked at a map, and it's Abilene because the next big city on the highway 277 from Bronte, Texas, and Bronte is the city that he didn't quite make it from San Angelo in order to get gas. So he is in Abilene when he makes the call. So that does make sense when he's saying right here going towards Abilene on both sides, just describing possibly where he is on the 277. The best theory I've heard that is Brandon is talking about him and another person going the same direction, but they're on both sides of the road. So in that case, Brandon would not have been alone. He's saying there's another vehicle there with him, and they're facing the other direction. That's a speculation. The next line is that my truck ran out of gas. Everybody agrees with that. There's a middle section here where everybody does not agree, and there's one boy here chased him. And then it ends with into the woods, which everybody agrees with. I don't know what he's saying. Kelly G's really confused about what he is saying. Is he saying that a cop pulled some guys over and the cop chased the dudes into the woods? Did he chase dudes into the woods? Kind of just like what Kyle was saying, very short, very confusing sentences. But then right after that, he says, please hurry. People speculate the audio waves look like when you fade out a sound rapidly, like that's not the end of that part. So we go back to talking about audio alterations. Some people believe that when you hear please hurry, like he was saying, please hurry, there's this is, but they just take please hurry and then cut the audio off.
And you can tell. I mean, you can totally.
And that's something what Greg was talking about with inflections. Like, know when a sentence wasn't over and you end it.
Exactly.
So,
and if you look at the audio waves and they don't if you look at the waves that are going by on the bottom of your screen right now, you can see every word tapers off at the end. It starts small, gets big, tapers off. And if it just cuts in the middle, it's pretty fucking obvious. Like that a phrase or a word wasn't the end of a sentence. Exactly.
So the dispatcher says, okay, now run that by me one more time. And in the middle of saying that, Brandon says, and this entire sentence is up for debate, apparently, says, we're not talking to him, and then sighs. We totally ran into him. Some other people think they hear they'll not talk things over. People say it sounds like accidentally and not totally. Like we accidentally ran into him. So this would bring up the fact that there is maybe someone there that there was an accident with, or some sort of, I don't know. But then the dispatcher says, you ran into them. Okay. So right here, people think that they hear another voice saying something like the word detective or just the first guy. Some people say that they also might have said shot the first guy. The dispatch asks if Brandon needs an ambulance, and right before the next line, people say that another voice begins to say yes. So the big speculation about this tape is that there may be voices in the background having a conversation or replying to things Brandon is saying that aren't to the 911 dispatcher. So she asks if he needs an ambulance, and he says, "No, I need the cops," which is one of the most audible things he says on the entire call. Like, it's very clear that he says, "No, I need the cops." Dispatcher asks, "Okay, is anybody hurt?" Right before the dispatcher says hello for the first time, an audio engineer says Brandon whispers, "Crap." The audio engineer said a car pulls up, and then he says the audio just ends, and it's not Brandon hanging up. So he speculates that this has been edited for the sake of the family. So that's another big thing too, is that some people believe that the police did edit it, but they edited it in a way to benefit the family from not hearing something that, they didn't want to hear. Which, that's,
yes, but also
I'm not sure that that's their job.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. Like, it should be up to the family to be like, nah, I don't need to hear the gruesome details. And they're like, okay, we can play you the parts that aren't that. But the full one is here and available.
Right.
Like, for public record, because as morbid as it is, like, transparency is key. And like, I've said this how many dozens of times when it comes to conspiracy theories, is that in the absence of information, like, people will go with what they know. And if you can't be completely transparent and be like, no, this is exactly what went on and exactly how it went down, people are going to be like, well, obviously you're not telling us the whole truth, because that's what happens. You don't get the whole truth, so you start to make that the default.
Yeah, because it could widely, if there's something at the end that suggests something nefarious happened, it could, rather than a missing person, it could be a murder investigation or something like that. Whereas just guessing, we're
Exactly.
here, wondering what's going on.
10 years later, 11 years later.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so we have that.
Hold on one sec. So
yep.
Part of the audio that people don't spill it. Part of the audio people thought that they heard was him saying that a state trooper is pushing people into the water.
Well, so he says what people believe is the word staper. Now, whether that is whether that state trooper is up for debate, but
on a cursory Google search, the only thing I could find for that word was in reference to this case.
Huh, interesting.
Because my thought was, if one of the few things that was actually able to be super clear on the call was him asking for cops, like send the cops, not ambulance, send the cops, then probably not state trooper, unless he's saying something like send a state trooper.
So instead of a staper just pulled some guys over, some people believe that we're safe, we're just pushing guys over. So in that version, the word staper would never have been used.
Gotcha. Okay.
But because the cops have become so entwined in this, and like, did the cops have something to do with it? Kelly G mentioned that, like, could it be someone, like, he's saying that a cop pushed someone into the river. So that was, you weren't wrong in hearing that. But yes, in that version of the quote, the word staper wouldn't even have been involved, though.
Okay.
But I love that. I'm going to be honest with you. In all of your episodes and all of the questions you've ever asked, that's probably the best one.
That's
Sober Paul has 3. Sober Paul has best questions. Drunk Paul is more entertaining.
So, the audio engineer believes that the sound cut off. Right? We Greg kind of gave us his his quote unquote 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 unquotes and quotes and quotes and quotes expert opinion, and they think that part is edited. So not Greg, but the audio engineers who've heard it. And then after we hear this sound cut off, what we hear is the dispatcher saying, "Hello, hello, hello," and then the call is over. The audio engineer's analysis says that they, at the end of the call, hear at least one gunshot, but they say alternatively that it could be the sound of the hood of a car or truck slamming. But the sound has a certain reverberation that happens because look, there are audio like scientists basically that can look at a sound and hear what it sounds like. You know what I mean? Like these waves mean something. And this is what they're saying is that like the sound of a gun and the sound of a car or a car's, hood slamming share a very similar signature when it comes to audio waves.
Pretty sure they did that in like CSI.
Yeah,
way back.
I don't know how reliable or how often it is used, but audio analysis like that is definitely a real thing.
It's like when they try and do like photographic analysis and they bring in an expert witness and they have somebody who they get somebody who has worked in the field for long enough to be able to look at sound waves and be like, no, this sound wave has been cut. This sound wave is whatever. This is, you know what I mean? They look at it long enough to be able to tell you the inconsistencies and stuff like that. So they're familiar enough with it, but it's really just like, what's your opinion? You know what I mean? Like when you look at like the Solway Firth spaceman, everybody's like, dude, that's real. That's real. Kodak representatives looked at it and were like, that's real. And then like a year and a half ago, somebody was like, nah, dude, that's just a double exposure. Like, how did we miss this for so long?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, it's just, experts still get it wrong. But
is that true? Did that get debunked recently?
I'm pretty sure. Which sucks because
that was a good one.
That one. Yeah.
That was a good one. Okay, so basically,
can't wait to hear that back because I wasn't listening. I got my kids' Danimals yogurt here.
Basically, the straw sound. Keep it in. Gunshot or hood of a truck slamming is basically what the audio engineer believes. But the audio engineer also says that Brandon doesn't react to the gunshot or hood slamming, whichever it is. If you're shot anywhere but an instant kill, most people are probably going to have some type of audible reaction to being shot.
Mm-hmm.
But
I did.
There's nothing on the tape. Did you say I did?
Yeah, I was like,
Oh, you were. That sounded like elation.
I like pain.
So
Greg,
Kelly wants to throw a little wrench into the gears here with some information that was obtained several years after the disappearance of Brandon Lawson, and I'm going to turn it into a question number 5. Brandon had made a purchase the day before his disappearance, which may have aided in his going missing.
Tire iron.
What was it? Was it A, meth, B, a stolen gun, C, some weed for selling, or D, a new car? That Ford F-150.
Can I tell you, I stabbed at this in my head before I scrolled down and looked at the answer, and I got it right.
All right. So this one is an odd. This is Paul. Is it meth, a stolen gun, some weed for selling, or a new car?
Well, my stab would have been tire iron, so I'm going to go with weed. Because he's got some
for selling.
He's got some
I'm about to become a weed dealer and got robbed for it, hey?
I'm going to do the
Nick, what do you say?
Meth.
Nick's going to say the meth made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
250 points to Nick. Because,
do I score it all?
Sell the drug. Greg, was that your stab?
That was my stab because I know dudes who were iron workers and oil field workers and stuff like that. You want to work 90 hours a week, dude? First of all, you're not doing it on weed. And like I've met those jittery dudes. Like that's pretty common for those.
That's the game sometime, unfortunately.
It's pretty common for those trades.
Do I score in this timeline at all, or do we swap
that's up to
whatever
you,
to
buddy.
different
But
universes?
that's only question 5 of 13. So technically, you're still not. I mean, you're not even like mathematically out of it or at all. It's 750 to nothing.
Give it 2 more.
But you got 8 questions. So Kelly G says, let's not be too goddamn quick to judge, but Brandon may have bought some meth the day before he went missing. As it turns out, that's what Ledessa and he were fighting about when he decided to leave the house. He recently had a drug test with his job, which he passed, and then decided to celebrate, as one does, with some meth. Also, if he was super high on meth, why would he call the cops? That's a fair point. But also, if you're so high that like it's something that is new to you or it's a first time, like, listen.
Well, also with a warrant,
lie to you guys. Yeah, that's true. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I had a bad acid trip one time, and I was legitimately like, "Yo, take me to the hospital. They've got to be able to have something for this, right?" Like in my head, that was the best fucking idea that I had. So when you're on the drugs, it's tough to say what your brain's going to tell you to do. Remember, Kyle thought that his brother wasn't making any sense before the 911 call. He asked Brandon if he was hallucinating because Brandon wasn't making any sense, saying people are running him out of town, blah 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 blah. So, like, obviously, some drugs definitely make you hallucinate.
Just a little paranoia.
That does not mean that has to be what happened, but it does unfortunately make a decent amount of sense in some cases. To sum it up, it sounds like his girlfriend was not involved in any way. She actually paid for a lot of the searches that took place. She and Kyle are pretty much the reason that people even know about or are interested in this case. One funny thing that Kelly G finds weird, and I also thought was interesting, is that the dispatcher for the case has never been identified. And I don't know if that's to protect the dispatcher, just because like it's such a weird case that like
I would imagine that there's probably some
like they didn't do anything. There was no wrongdoing, so you guys don't need to fucking know who it was. The dispatcher did everything that they could, you know.
Well, I mean, I know there's a certain amount of anonymity for dispatchers anyway. Like they're a protected class. Like
it makes sense.
The police officers take them super seriously.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
Police early on speculated that a woman picked Brandon up and he just plain ran away. But then why would he call Kyle several times and be like, I could see you with the cop, and like, I'm over on the side of the road? If like he dipped and he didn't want anybody to know anything, why would he call the cops? Why would he call his neighbor? Why would he call his brother? So just a lot of weird things, man. In 2022, clothing and remains were found on a property near the disappearance of Brandon. It's been over 19 months, and those remains have never been identified. The family is confident that it's Brandon, but with the remains being exposed to the elements for several years, it has made the DNA not only scarce, but also degraded. Even if they do find out that those are his remains, what the fuck happened that night? Even if he was high, he would have come down off meth before he like starved to death or died from the elements. But
coyotes.
People just wonder what had to have hurt him that night. So that's the end of the story, man. That's the end of my freaking report about the disappearance of Brandon Lawson. Okay, so this portion of the show is brought to you by Jaxx and Thomas. Both have been on the show before, but if you're not familiar with them from that, and you're in the Discord, you'll know them. Jaxx is Jaxx, and Thomas you would know as Captain Scawfreak. But we've briefly covered this story again. I was trying to remember who brought it. Apparently, it was Hella Greg, so that's perfect. This is going to be an expansion on that.
If
and
it wasn't me, I feel bad for taking credit for somebody else's work.
Nope.
But if it was me, I feel bad for taking credit for my own work, because if it was me, it was probably subpar.
it's funny because, like the show is like, the show has evolved so much since the beginning. Even the first 15 that don't exist anymore, if you go to 16 and listen, it's evolved a lot from there. As we're at this is 155 tonight. I sometimes I'll be like, oh, we have those first 15, and there's only a few of those subjects we haven't recovered since then. And I'll go grab the original outline sometimes and be like, I'm going to use this. And it'll be like 4.5 pages. And I'm like, how the fuck did we do this? Because now, like, I'll tell Greg, hey, I only wrote 12 pages this week. Maybe just bring a story just in case we're not hitting time, like we might want to. And he's like, yeah, I got you. So it's just funny. I think that the evolution is that, and that's kind of what we're doing with some of these stories where we had them and we got them mentioned, or we had an update on it, and we're going to bring it back and we're going to talk about it again. So
that's so funny that you said that like the old outline's 4 pages. Cause I'm like, if you're like, yo, bring a side story, I'm like, yeah, for sure. I'll slap one together. Probably only be like 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah. But that's different. That's so much different when it's the like quote unquote fluff piece, when it's the one that's there to like help bolster time. That's how long it should be. But
when that was the main thing, and now that's the equivalent of the side piece. Like
true. Yeah.
That's an interesting way to go about it.
Yeah, like honestly, so like now, and this, because one of the ones is Dahmer that we've yet to recover. So in our list of 155 episodes we have up, there is no Jeffrey Dahmer episode.
Hey.
And I'm glad there's not, because the first one, we did not do it justice. I don't feel. And I look back and the outline was 10 pages long.
Appropriate.
Like, that for sure would probably be a 30-page outline if we did it now. So, and I'm sure it'll be coming sooner than later. I remember when we first came back, that was when the whole Evan Peters Dahmer series was taking place, and I was like, I'm not even touching that story right now. So we're working back into a little no fresh Dahmer material time, and maybe we start working on that outline again. But anyway, I digress. Thank you, Jaxx. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate you guys for your teamwork. How lovely is that, Greg? Have we ever got a research assistant tag team outline before? I do not think so.
No, I don't believe we have. I think it's.
I love it.
Yeah, I love the teamwork. I love multiple takes on a subject, because collaborative efforts tend to bring the strongest performance. The cream rises, as they say. Gross. So you're getting the absolute best.
What I loved too was that they didn't just send me a finished product. They like allowed me into their creative process, and instead of, again, sending me a PDF of a finished product, which is fun. Like, look, I'm not disparaging anybody who does that, but they just basically added me to their Google Doc. So I got to see their notations to each other. And I don't know, I just thought it was neat. It was really cool to see them work together.
It's like seeing voice actors do the voices out when they're not animated.
No. Hundy P.
Yeah.
So again, story we've done before, but we're gonna bring back and get you the full length tale. Tell me, have you guys heard of Issei Sagawa?
Yeah.
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 He was on the previous episode, wasn't he?
Yeah, Issei.
Yeah.
I heard a story about him. I remember it.
Yeah, on Serial Killers podcast. So this is references and citations from Wikipedia, thefamouspeople.com, murderpedia.org, and vice.com interview. Question number 6. In what year was Issei Sagawa born? Evens are Nick's, so close to the answer is 250 points. Nail it, you get 1,000. In what year was Issei Sagawa born?
I want to say 1958.
1959.
Oh, Paul
I need points.
Keeps trying. I know, but you keep going the wrong way. Issei Sagawa was born April 26, 1949 in Kobe, Hyogo Prefecture. 250 more points to Nick. I like that Paul's like, hell yeah, I like this whole someone has to answer first thing. I'm going to undercut this son of a bitch.
That's 2 strikes at that move too, Paul. You try it and it fails again. You're not allowed to try it anymore.
So he was born again in Hyogo Prefecture. Guys, I'm going to try with Japanese pronunciations. I feel like I'm closer to those than some of the upstate New York and England pronunciations. But hang with me anyway, huh? He was the son of an affluent businessman, Akira Sagawa, who served as president of the Kurita Water Industries. His grandfather served as an editor for the Japanese newspaper, the Asahi Shimbun. Issei Sagawa had a premature birth and was reportedly so small at the time of his birth that he could fit in his father's palm. That's a tiny little baby. But we've all seen those images, you know. Oh, Greg. So even after he had grown to a healthier size, he developed enteritis and was treated with several injections of potassium and calcium and saline. His guts were swollen. That's the enteritis. Were you looking it up, Greg?
Yeah.
he had some inflammation and infection in his intestines. Enteritis can take place in a lot of different places, but that specifically is where his was. So we say all that to say this, that he started in a struggle. He was a preemie baby, and even after he got to a safe size, he went through some other issues. So Sagawa's fragile health and introverted personality led him to developing a strong interest in literature. Basically, what they're saying is he was introverted, so he became a nerd. Issei Sagawa studied in schools at Kamakura Kanagawa Prefecture, and he developed cannibalistic desires for the first time after seeing a male's thigh while attending first grade in school. I think it was a male teacher, and he saw his thigh in a pair of shorts and was like, yep, that's what I want to eat. So first grade, dog, that's 6 years old.
Couldn't he have just bitten one of those poof balls? Not the Kush balls, but like the poof Nerf footballs. They were the styrofoam. You know, the one that was like blue on top and red on bottom?
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they always had a big bite taken out of them because we all had the same intrusive thought. And like, just eat a football, dude. I mean,
eat a football.
Yeah.
It's not as good.
Have you done it?
No.
Try it. Go get one of those from like the dollar store and bite that motherfucker.
What's over here? Weird. Yep. Nope. Go ahead.
Paul just made a bunch of orders from Amazon. Okay, so
one for you.
In the first grade, you guys, that's when he got his cannibalistic desires. So he attended Waco University and completed a master's degree in English literature at Kwansei Gakin University. At the age of 24, while attending Waco University in Tokyo, not Texas, Sagawa saw a tall German woman and wanted her to be his. Just his quote.
Okay.
Question number 7. Paul likes tall German women. Question number 7. What was his next move after seeing the woman of his fantasies?
Bit her on the butt.
Did he A? Went home and plotted a way to make her his?
Ooh, smart.
B, went home and continued to fantasize, knowing he wasn't ready. C, went after her but did not go through with it. Or D, went after her but was caught in the process. Went home and plotted a way to make her his. Went home, continued to fantasize, but knowing he wasn't ready. Went after her, but did not go through with it, or went after her and was caught in the process.
B.
B, boy?
Yep, B as in boy.
Okay, went home, continued to fantasize, knowing he wasn't ready. Nick says D as in dog, went after her, but was caught in the process.
It was D, because this is a short
points
story.
To Nick.
This is a short story, Paul, you fucking idiot.
Well... 250 points to Nick. It is now 12-52.
I'm going to sleep, guys.
Listen, technically not out of it yet.
Shut up.
So Issei would follow this tall German woman home, break into her apartment while she was sleeping. Sagawa's intention, he says, now was to cannibalize her by slicing off part of her buttocks and sneaking away with a small part of her flesh. So he wasn't even like, I'm going to kill her and I'm going to rape her. And he was like, I'm going to cut off part of her butt and I'm fucking out of there, man. So, I mean, it's such a fucking weird thing, dude. He's like, I'm not really ready to commit and all that other shit, but I really want to eat that butt.
I get it, but there's you just like the ball, you just bite it once and that's it.
Right. So that was his plan. However, the tall German woman awoke as Issei Sagawa entered her room and thwarted his attack by pushing him to the ground. Sagawa was captured by police and charged with attempted rape, but did not confess to his true intentions at the time. So it was like he got caught and they were like, "Oh, you were trying to rape her," and he was like, "Yeah, yep,
definitely. That's what it was.
That's what it was. It was not trying to cut off part of her butt and take it with me."
God, imagine being such a scumbag that what you're willing to admit to is rape and not what you're actually out there trying to do.
Yeah.
Like,
hold on.
God.
Question.
Dumb question, because I had to check on kids. Sorry. Does he kill them and then slices it? Or does he just like...
Well,
no, his plan was
here...
his plan was to just cut off a piece of her butt cheek and like take it home to eat.
But is she still alive?
Yes, like his plan was to do it without her waking up.
The R word. Probably.
His plan was to do it without her waking up.
Oh, easy. Yeah, do that.
Yeah, sharp knife. One quick swing.
Yeah.
Fruit ninja. Oh my God. So he was captured by police. He's going to be charged with attempted rape. He did not confess to his true intentions. Question number 8. Charges will eventually be dropped. Why? Was it A, he made a heartfelt apology to the woman and said he wasn't there to rape her, but just to rob her, and it was all a misunderstanding? B, a lawyer argued that he was temporarily insane. C, his father paid a settlement. Or D, the courts did not have enough evidence to charge him completely. Heartfelt apology. A lawyer argued he's temporarily insane. His father paid a settlement, or not enough evidence.
I'm going to go A.
I'm going to go D.
A. D. In this case, Issei's affluent businessman father paid a settlement to the victim, which would get him out of the crime. That is 0 points to anybody. Issei comes from a very affluent family. A lot of money coming generationally down the line. And he decided that he'd go with cannibalism as his...
we don't know that that's not genetic.
Money can't buy you happiness. I mean, look, you're that rich, you can't just buy a butt. Someone probably just sell you their butt willingly.
It's not the same.
That's part of it.
Yeah,
the thrill of it is the hunt of the butt.
I've seen Most Dangerous Game.
The butt.
So, Sagawa's charges of attempted rape were dropped when his father paid a settlement to the victim. In 1977, at the age of 27, Sagawa moved to France to pursue a PhD in literature at the Sorbonne in Paris. Sagawa has said that while residing in Paris, quote, almost every night I would bring a prostitute home and try to shoot them, but for some reason my fingers froze up and I couldn't pull the trigger. Years later, giving an interview to Vice in 2011, Sagawa mentioned that in his youth he developed cannibalistic desires for women. Question number 9. As well as his cannibalistic desire for women, he had another habit as a youth that one may find, let's say, peculiar. What was it? Is it A, killing animals? Is it B, bestiality with the family dog? C, sexually abusing younger family members? Or D, watching neighbors through their windows? Killing animals, bestiality with the family dog, sexually abusing younger family members, or watching neighbors through their windows.
There are just no good
activity
options
for a young man. Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
D is the
no
least
good
of
options.
The problems there, probably. So I'm going to go with B. because I'm doing really well.
B, boy?
B, boy.
Okay. Bestiality with the family dog.
I feel like I remember this being C, so I'm going to go that way.
Sexually abusing young family members.
Well,
in a
right.
goddamn miracle, Paul gets on the board because indeed we're going to celebrate the fact that Issei Sagawa took part several times in bestiality with the family dog. Congratulations, Paul. That's a wonderful one to really, get your mark on there.
Yep.
I'm very proud of you.
That's what you want.
Yeah. Way to get in there, Paul.
Thank you. Proud of this. A win's a win.
Nick, I'm sorry about the shutout. That you were doing a good job. You gave it a hell of an effort. I don't think was there a shutout? Effort. Was the last one a shutout?
No, it went for a while. It was very low scoring, if I'm not mistaken, and it was, but someone did eventually score. So there has still never been a shutout in the history of serial chillers. We give people a lot of chances.
I'm trying.
You get a lot of chances.
I'm out here trying.
I thought about whenever Paul guesses first, just guessing whatever he guesses, so I can't lose.
Hey.
That's part of the strategy, bud. That's part of the strategy.
We don't do that.
But here. I will say, with we got 4 questions left. 3 of them are multiple choice. I will say that 2 of the 3 multiple choice, I'll give you guys a chance to stab at if you'd like. One of them's quite specific though, so we'll see when we get there. So, he fucked the family dog, y'all. Now, when it says bestiality at the family dog, look, I didn't look for details. I don't really care. I don't know if it was like a little peanut butter on the tip or whatever you're gonna do, or if it was like full pin, but he just says that was his deal when he was a kid, was fucking the family dog. So while he's studying at the Sincere Institute in Paris in 1981, Sagawa spotted another tall, beautiful Northern European woman, Renee Hartevelt.
Nice.
He's a pretty big fan of like tall, like powerful looking women. You know what I mean? Like
he should have just waited, man. He could have seen Brigitte Nielsen.
He likes the like Viking like women. So he says that he sat next to her in class and he fell instantly in love and could not stop thinking about the white skin of her arms. She was the perfect woman for what he wanted to do, but this time he had to be more careful. He had to be ready. Renee was 25, born in 1955, a blonde and independent. She spoke 3 languages and had a bright future with the aim of getting a PhD in French literature. Sagawa asked her to teach him German, and since his father was quite wealthy, he could pay her well. She accepted. So, he's like, hey, I'm pretty rich and I kind of want to learn German. And she's like, well, hey, I know German, so let's go. According to him, she liked his obvious intelligence and ability to discuss everything from Impressionist paintings to Shakespeare to European literature. He wrote her love letters and invited her to concerts and exhibits. He was small, feminine, and walked with a limp, yet she often went with him and invited him to her apartment for tea. Now, that was something I hadn't really mentioned until now, and I think I'll get into it a little more deep. But like, he liked these tall, powerful women because he was like 5 feet tall, or like 4'11" and a quarter. He was like, people who are that premature that fit in a palm tend to be smaller humans in the end. And he was not an exception. And his health issues growing up really left him kind of feeble in many other ways. So he was just a small, weakly man. He thought, basically, it seems to me that he was like catching feelings and taking all the signals wrong. She was like, oh, I really like this guy. He's a good friend. And he was like, she wants me. Oh, baby, this large German woman who I'm paying to hang out with me really wants me. They even danced together on occasion, allowing Sagawa a more physical sense of his fantasies, basically putting him over the edge. He found these Nordic women overpowering, and even as he claimed he loved them, he wanted to possess and destroy them. One day, he invited Renee over to his apartment at 10 Rue Erlinger for dinner. He asked her to read a poem by his favorite German expressionist, which she did. After she left, he smelled and licked the place where she had sat and vowed that he would eat her, and that would allow him to possess her forever. Now, the first part of that is like a funny TikTok now. Like, chick gets up, guy dives his face into the couch, and that's like, but it's not funny when you know that he's doing it. He's like, yes, I'm going to eat her and possess her forever after this. So,
yeah, that's
Issei Sagawa.
I hate it so much.
Yeah, Issei Sagawa describes himself as a, quote, weak, ugly, and small man. Like I said, he is just under 5 feet and claims that he wanted to, quote, absorb her energy. Soon he asked to come over again for dinner. So she's already come over for dinner. He's like, read this expressionist German poet that I love so much. And she indulges him, and she's like, come over again. And this time he's got a cassette recorder, and he said that he wanted to record her reading of the poem. So she accepted that. And on the evening of June 11th, 1981, she and Sagawa prepared himself to act out his ultimate fantasy. Question number 10. Upon arriving in Paris, he had purchased a weapon for protection. What? Now, Paul, if you'd like to stab here, I'd like a pretty specific answer. And then I've got multiple choice. So there are other ones you can stab at to get back into it. If you stab and make it right here, it's a tie. I believe this is actually Nick's anyway.
Yeah.
So, but if you want to stab and Nick wants to go multiple choice, you would be allowed to stab before Nick makes it to multiple choice.
So then he knows what
if you'd like to stab.
I'll put it in the Discord. So there's a record of it. Go ahead.
Okay. Paul sent it over in the Discord. I like that. That's a little sneaky. Okay, Nick, multiple choice options are A, a billy club, B, a knife, C, a .22 rifle, or D, a 9mm handgun. Billy club, knife, .22 rifle, 9mm handgun.
I gotta go knife.
Nick goes knife. Paul sent over the answer of knife in his stab. Do you get it? But
I get it.
I was gonna say,
and I left this in. I actually thought about taking it out earlier, because it gave it away, but it was such a good quote that I couldn't. If you guys will remember, Issei said, while residing in Paris, almost every night I would bring home a prostitute and then try to shoot them. But for some reason, my fingers froze up and I couldn't pull the trigger. Issei Sagawa purchased upon arriving in Paris a .22 rifle.
Cool.
So no points. Sorry.
It's not in your.
I'm sure he had knives.
Yeah, it's not in your research. So whoever did this is. Never mind. I don't want to talk poorly of researchers. Love you, but it was a knife.
So 22 caliber rifle for self-protection. He had it ready when Renee arrived. He seated her on the floor, Japanese style, to drink tea. Into her drink, he put some whiskey to make her more pliant. The way they talked for a while as Sagawa waited for the whiskey to have its effect. Then he told Renee that he loved her and wanted to take her to bed. She resisted him and told him that she found him engaging but not sexually attractive. She only wanted to be his friend. At this point, Sagawa just nodded. He then got up to get the book of poetry while Renee sat on a chair. Sagawa handed the poem to Renee to read and started the recorder. While Renee recited the poem in her native language, Sagawa came up behind her with his rifle and shot her in the back of the neck. She fell off the chair. What's that?
Slit her throat with a knife.
Shot her in the back of the neck as she fell off the chair. He continued to talk to her, but she failed to ever answer again. And remember, like when I say this is not Issei Sagawa's telling us the story. He's audio recording this, guys. There was a cassette tape. Right. He was surprised by how quiet it was after he had killed her. Then he noticed the amount of blood that flowed out of her wound, and at first he attempted to clean it up, but finally gave up. Sagawa said he fainted after the shock of shooting her, but awoke with the realization that he had to carry out his desire to eat her. He did so, beginning with her hips and legs, but only after having sex with the corpse. In interviews, he noted his surprise at the, quote, corn-colored nature of human fat. For 2 days, Sagawa ate various parts of her body and described the meat as, quote, soft and odorless like tuna. He then used a hatchet to chop her into pieces that would fit into suitcases he'd bought specifically for this purpose. It's been a while since we've run down a line or a few lines that fucked up on this show. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Issei Sagawa's description of what human meat is like, the color and hue of human fat, and the fact that he had a hatchet to chop her into pieces and suitcases specifically purchased for the occasion.
You think he bought expensive ones, or?
And the fact that he thought he almost backed out of it for a second, he murdered her and then he was like, and he fainted and then snapped back and was like, shit, can't let this opportunity go to waste, you fucking scumbag.
Well, better get to eating.
Yeah,
those aren't going to eat themselves.
Yeah. What a piece of shit.
Man, I wish that I could tell you that some of the lines that are coming up are better, but they're not. Even as he dismembered her, he grew excited. Ugh. So, as he dismembered her, he used her hand to masturbate.
The ultimate Dutch rudder.
The ultimate Dutch rudder.
Then he took her nose and chewed on it and heard the noise of cartilage crunching between his teeth. Since he'd often thought about chewing on her lip, he removed it and set it aside. That part he would keep for later pleasures, he claimed.
Smart.
According to Issei, at one point he took a cruise to Greece after his graduate program and shared a table with a butcher and his wife. He states that the fat, jolly man explained to him how to butcher meat, and it also states that after the incident, he sent the man a thank you letter, but never received a response. And that's all according to that interview from Vice. He said things like, I want her tongue. He said it in a fictional account. He wrote books about it later. I can open her lower jaw, but I reach in between her teeth, and finally it comes out. He cut it off, popped it into his mouth, and watched himself chewing on her tongue in the mirror.
Fucking go fucking fuck yourself.
Yeah.
He didn't, because he used her hand to do that.
No, he's just such a piece of shit, man.
Yeah. Then he went for the eyes. And the final step for Sagawa was to explore the internal organs, which he claimed stung his hands with the digestive acids. He then used a hatchet to cut off her head. With so many parts of her head already removed, he said that it looked already like a skull. He grabbed the hair and hung the head in front of him, an experience that, in retrospect, caused him to say, quote, I realized I am a cannibal, end quote.
That's what did it. That's what did it. It wasn't the chewing on the tongue while staring yourself in the mirror like a fucking psychopath. It wasn't jerking off with her hand. It wasn't planning all this out. It wasn't even the early warning signs like sniffing and licking the seat where she was the last time she visited. It was when he was holding the head by the hair and was like, oh, oops. Maybe I'm not the greatest guy. You fucking piece of shit.
Oh, my God. So Basically, he's been working on eating, dismembering, and cleaning up this body for 2 straight days. And by the time he has finished bagging the pieces and locking them into the suitcase, it was midnight on the second day. Question number 11. In what way did he transport these suitcases to their final destination? Paul, this is an odd, and so you can go first on this stabbing if you'd like. Again, you're pretty close to out of it without stabbing, so you're going to go ahead and need to do that. If you want to send it on Discord again to not give Nick an inkling as to what you're thinking, I'm happy to see that pop up. But I would take a stab at in what way did he transport these suitcases to their final destination? Very good guess, Paul. Let me be a little more specific. Give me one more.
I don't want to. I chose that word.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is where he lost it.
Question number 11. In what way did he transport these suitcases to their final destination? Did he A, ask a colleague for a ride, B, use public transportation, C, call a cab, or D, walked and carried them?
I'm going to say
B. Not dead bodies in here. Say it again, Nick. Sorry.
B as in boy.
B as in boy used public transportation. Issei Sagawa, in all of his knowledge and wisdom, 2 suitcases full of God knows what, called the cab. Cabs are here. Issei stated that when the taxi driver picked up the suitcases to put them in the trunk, first of all, he let the fucking cab driver help him. The cab was not a van. Sorry, Paul.
Prove it.
Prove it.
Issei stated that the taxi driver picked up the suitcases to put it in the trunk and jokingly asked if there was a body in there.
Said no, just most of one.
Just most of one.
Issei,
no tongue.
Issei said that the suitcases were just full of books. Arriving at the Bois de Boulogne, he lugged the suitcases into the park, intending to shove them into the pond. However, he had a difficult time with his heavy burden. When he spotted some people watching him, he got scared and just ditched the suitcases. So he was like on the bank of this river and he's like going to push him into this pond. And he's like, yes, this is the perfect plan. And people are like, fuck is that guy doing? And he's like, and just left him there. Just ran away.
Across the pond.
Across the river. So, Martingale reports in Cannibal Killers that a couple went closer and saw a female hand protruding from one of the bloodstained cases, so they called the police.
Whoa, how did the cab driver miss that?
Yeah, I think Issei opened it one more time. That's the theory.
Just going to get a little nibble.
He was like saying goodbye. It's so hard to say goodbye
to ruin that song
for me. So, yeah, police open the suitcases. They find the remains. They begin the task of tracing the bags back to their purchaser. In the meantime, Sagawa returned to his apartment to enjoy the pieces of Renee Hartfeld that he had put into the refrigerator. As he ate another gruesome meal, he thumbed through some pornography in his free time. Each day of his remaining freedom, he ate another piece, claiming in his later renditions that it became sweeter with time. The human meat, that is. When the police arrived at his apartment 2 days after with the murder with a search warrant, Sagawa let them in. Like, this is the kind of fucking guy we're dealing with. Police show up and he doesn't go like put a gun to his head. He doesn't like, I'm just going to end it with the 22 right here. He's like, yes, officers, please do come in. They're like, we think you have killed a woman in there and put her by the pond in the park. And he's like, yes, as a matter of fact, old chums I have. So that's exactly what he did. he lets them in. They open the refrigerator during the search and find pieces of a female body inside, including but not limited to lips. Sagawa freely confessed what he had done, adding that he had a history of mental illness. In fact, his descriptions were so detailed and salacious that a judge decided he was not competent to stand trial and was clearly very delusional. Sagawa received a sentence of incarceration for an indefinite period in the Paul Gurad Asylum. 3 psychiatrists who evaluated him said that he would never be cured. His wealthy father provided a top lawyer for his defense, and after being held for 2 years without trial in the French judge, Jean-Louis Broget, found him, quote-unquote, obviously legally insane and unfit to stand trial, and ordered Sagawa to be held indefinitely in a mental institution. However, a visit by the author Inuhiko Yamada, Sagawa's account of the murder was published in Japan with the title In the Fog. The subsequent publicity and macabre celebrity of Sagawa likely contributed to the French authorities' decision to make a change. Question number 12. What did the French authorities do in response to Issei's growing celebrity? Paul, again, probably going to want to stab. I know it's a long shot, but it's a long shot either way. Send me a little Discord thing of what did the French authorities do in response to Issei's growing celebrity in his home country of Japan. Basically, Inuhiko Yamada came over and took his story back, because remember, this crime happened in France, so it wasn't that largely publicized in Japan at the time. And Yamada took the story back, published it as In the Fog, and became a macabre celebrity basically in Japan. Question number 12. What did the French authorities do in response to Issei's growing celebrity? Was it A, lock down access, limited only to his family? B, place him in solitary and secret care? C, release him? Or D, extradite him to Japan?
Well, I'm going to go D.
D, extradite him to Japan. And
probably right.
With that, Nick basically puts the game, not basically, Nick totally puts the game away and out of reach for our good buddy Paul. We do have one more question coming up here. But they did extradite Issei Sagawa to Japan. Upon arrival in Japan, he was immediately taken to Matsuzawa Hospital, where examining psychologists all found him to be sane, but quote-unquote evil. However, Japanese authorities found it to be legally impossible to hold him, purportedly because they lacked certain important papers from the French court. It seemed that the French were done dealing with the problem, and since that was the case, Sagawa checked himself out of the mental institution on August 12th of 1986. After his release, he lived in Tokyo and was a minor celebrity in Japan. So can you fucking imagine? And that's what people say, is that like basically France was like, once they were done with him, Japan was like, yo, we need this, and this, and France was like, we're done with him. He's in your hands now. And the way Japan's legal system works, they're like, well, without these things, we can't imprison him here, so we'll put him in the facility, and he's under involuntary care for now, and soon it will become voluntary care. And basically the moment it did, he checked himself out August 12th, 1986. He is often invited as a guest speaker and commentator at many Japanese events. He's also written restaurant reviews for the Japanese magazine Spa, which if you look him up, you'll see like these fucking just creepy low angle photographs of him doing these restaurant reviews, and they're ugh. In 1992, he appeared in Hisayasu Sato's exploitation film Yuakazuma Chikazume, which means unfaithful wife, shameful torture, as a sadosexual voyeur. So, not far off of his real life persona. Besides books about the murder he committed, Sagawa wrote a commentary book, Shonen A, in 1997 on the Kobe children's serial killings of 1997, when a 14-year-old referred to the media as Boy A, or Shonen A, killed and decapitated a child and attacked several others. So basically, he's written books about his own murder and another murder that a child committed. Sagawa's story inspired the 1981 Stranglers song La Folie and the 1983 Rolling Stones song Too Much Blood and the 2004 Human Factors Lab song Dinner with Renee. In 1986, short film by Olivier Smolders called Adoration is based on Sagawa's story. And in the same year, the TV channel Viasat Explorer released a 47-minute documentary film called Cannibal Superstar. He featured in several documentary films, including Excuse Me for Living in 1993, The Cannibal That Walked Free in 2007, Interview with a Cannibal in 2011, and Cannibal in 2017. He lost his parents in 2005 and was not allowed to attend their funeral. He would, however, pay back all of their creditors and shifted to public housing and received welfare benefits for some time. In 2009, Sagawa was documented in a History Channel show titled Strange Rituals, discussing his cannibalism. So, dude, in 2009, the fucking US-based History Channel was like, yo, Japanese cannibal, you want to come on our show about strange rituals?
Smart.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty strange ritual indeed. Right.
Yes.
During the 2009 show, Issei Sagawa revealed that he was a freelance artist of nude paintings. During his interview in 2010 with Vice, Issei states that he has...
Hold on. So, this guy, this fucking asshole, this piece of shit is out there saying... Oh, yeah, dude, I totally ate people. Here's my story. I saw the thigh and it was like, yeah, dude, I need to eat that. And then he's like, and then these people, like, I see them and I'm like, gotta eat them. Just got that feeling. Gotta act on it. He's like, but that's who I used to be. Come get naked and I'm going to paint you.
Greg,
however,
let him do
what
that and
world,
then post
bro?
it on OnlyFans. Let this guy paint you naked and post it on OnlyFans.
No.
I cannot wait to read you the next sentence, Greg.
Ooh, this makes
during
me
that same time frame. So that's the 2009 thing. He lets you know he's a nude painting. In a 2010 interview with Vice, Issei states that when he has a cannibalistic urge, the only way to get rid of it is to masturbate. That suppresses the urge. Okay.
Gross.
Right.
My guy, that is called post-nut clarity. Everybody has it.
Well, that's an extreme version.
Wait. If he can't release his sexual desires, his appetite continues to grow.
Mm-hmm.
During his interview with Vice, he stated, however, he has now grown impotent and cannot masturbate anymore, and worries that since he cannot suppress his urges through masturbation, that his cannibalistic urges may emerge yet again.
My God.
He states, as a 61-year-old, he doesn't know who he is and that it would have been much easier to die and wish that he had received the death penalty, as death is his only hope. He states, recently, more than the urge of eating someone, he has the urge to be killed. He wants to die suffering, slowly torn apart, alive, and of course, he'd rather be killed by a beautiful woman than a man. Quote, yet again, it is my fantasy.
Man, this motherfucker, like, I want him to die slow and painful too, but now that he wants it, like, way to suck the fun out of it, you fucking fun sucker.
I mean,
question number 13.
They could probably find somebody.
It's true. Question number 13 and the last. Paul, you can't win, but you can make it look like it was a closer game than it was.
Nope.
Question number 13. In what year did Issei Sagawa die?
Oh, it's 13. I don't remember the first year that we talked about. 2000. He's alive still. He's alive.
That's what I was.
Paul,
yeah.
Paul's
They're almost always still alive.
And Nick is also going to say still alive, robbing Paul of any chance of making it look like a close game.
Did I get points though?
This is a closest to the points gets 250, so you could either both have 0 or you could both have 250.
Both 250.
Because
both 250.
He suffered a cerebral infarction and was hospitalized in 2013. It caused permanent damage to his nervous system, but Issei Sagawa died due to complications of pneumonia at a hospital in Tokyo on November 24th, 2022, at the age of 73. So, yeah.
So he didn't get
that's
his fantasy?
The deep dive into Issei Sagawa. I'm glad to see that Greg is as frustrated as ever.
Angry. Look how just,
I'm fucking livid. Hate that story. Hate that man.
As I was doing it, I was like, man, Greg hates this story so fucking much. Like, I hope it doesn't ruffle his feathers tonight. And it is totally.
Dude, my jimmies are rustled. Yeah.
I had to Google this guy to see what he looked like, and he is extraordinarily creepy.
Yes.
Yeah, he 100% is. So,
there's a picture of him shirtless with a fork and a knife.
Yeah. Like I've seen the pictures. He's just what a piece of shit.
It's stuff we just don't need. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Congratulations, Nick, on your victory. Welcome back to the show and walking out here with a W. Against who has been voted as the Serial Chiller's number 2 guest at times. Big Paul there.
Whoa.
Hey, nobody takes down Mama Shy.
I won number 1 guest in season. I don't know. There's an Instagram post about it. There's a sword involved. Probably I kneeled.
It was a machete.
No?
But yeah. Totally. Danny walked out during it.
Yeah, she got very confused.
It's only a partial victory because he wasn't drunk.
That's true.
Asterisk.
We'll have to get the overnight babysitters next time, Paul, so you can get good and faded.
Yeah, let's talk to Kennedy about that one.
Well, anything you want to add here tonight, Nick, before we wrap it up?
Nah, I mean, I'm in the Discord. If you want to say hi, I'm there. Outside of that, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Nick's there for sure. Thank you for coming out and making it happen, Nick. Paul, anything you would like to add as you walk away today, sad, head hanging low, just wondering when you'll ever make it out of this funk again?
Yeah. I would like to formally blame the researchers for getting the answers to the questions wrong. It was clearly all of my answers and not what they put.
I wrote all the questions.
Okay, I'd like to blame you. I'm blaming somebody. I don't know. You pick who I blame. Don't matter to me.
If you'd listened to the episode before it got taken down, you would have had all the answers.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to remember that, Greg. I don't remember what I did yesterday.
I'm not even actually sure that this came from an episode that is down. I just knew that we really just kind of glazed over it and that there was a lot more to it. And when they brought this, it was like, well, yeah, now we're going to do this again. So you might still be able to hear us discuss this. No, not at all. This is a story that you can very quickly cover or one you can get into the gross details. And we said, fuck it, and dove into the details tonight. So, Paul, despite your loss, thank you for coming and showing up tonight. We'll include some baby sounds at the end so we can let people know just how busy you were.
Yeah, sorry. He really wanted to play with me.
Is he wearing stickers on his face? Is that what?
Yeah, he put those on him. Mama put them on him about 6 hours ago, and then he put some on us, and sticker wars.
Go hang out outside, and he'll have a sweet tan.
That's dark, idiot.
Moon tan.
Hey, those weren't nice words you just said to me.
True.
All right, guys. Well, Greg, anything here at the end you'd like to
add? Man, I fucking hate that story. I hate that man. The first one I'm super interested in. Like, I want to hear the 911 call. I'm like super like enthralled in the first one. I just hate cannibals. I hate the idea of cannibals.
Yeah, I don't know many people that are like, fuck yeah, cannibals.
Well, I mean, like, supposed to be able to rest easy at the top of the food chain. And like, I would expect, like, if I was in a jungle, not the top of the food chain. There's other stuff in the jungle that can and will eat me. But
if you were in university in France, you expect a beautiful German woman.
I would expect to be
nothing less.
I would expect to be sharing the top of the food chain.
Fair. I think that's fair. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, in that one case, it was not the case, and that's the ones that make it scary. So I understand where you're coming from, buddy. Well, thank all three of you for coming out here tonight, making the show happen. Appreciate you guys. It's been fun hanging. For anybody still listening, check us out on all the social media grams and serialchillerspod.com for all of the information on how to find us, how to give to us, how to make this damn thing keep on spinning. Yeah, man. Any final words, guys? Last things? Anything you remembered? Anything you want to throw out?
I'm so disgusted by this story that I don't even want to promote lonelyfanswith2z's.com.
But you should. He won't. I'll do it. Go to his website. It's amazing. Life-changing.
Matter of fact, though.
Life-changing.
All right, guys. Well, with that, for Hella Greg, Nick, and Paul, I am Crompton and Jesse. Remember, don't talk to strangers.
Do it.